never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another reason to breathe this air.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Happy Friday to everybody. Now today, here on the channel, I'm not going to sit here and mention every single bowl game because I think there's 40 plus altogether. I did not count them, but I'm pretty sure there's somewhere between 40 and 45. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you every single bowl game because you're not going to remember them unless you write them all down. But you can easily go to any kind of sports website and find a list of every single bowl game. But I am going to try to do during bowl season the same thing I do during the regular season. And that is come on here at the beginning of the week and tell you all the bowl games that are coming up that week, because they start 1 week from tomorrow, next Saturday, the 16th. And then there's a few here and there up until Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I don't believe there's any on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And then starting on the 26th, there's pretty much bowl games every day from the 26th all the way until New Year's Day. But today I want to talk about some of the bowl games that I find intriguing. Some of the ones that I'm actually excited to get to watch because I think they're going to be good games. And the first one is 1 week from tomorrow, December the 16th, next Saturday, the Cure Bowl, which features the Miami of Ohio Redhawks and Appalachian State. Appalachian State's one of those teams that it seems like no matter who the coach is, what conference they're in, who they got playing for them, they're always competitive. This year was no different. And Miami of Ohio is actually really, really good. And I'm hoping that since they're playing Appalachian State, a team that most people know all about, and it's on a Saturday, so this time of the year, people are used to watching college football on a Saturday. So I'm hoping people will sit around and watch Miami of Ohio against Appalachian State because I've got a feeling that's going to be a very good game. And then coming up 1 week later, 2 weeks from tomorrow, Saturday the 23rd, is the Armed Forces Bowl with Air Force taking on James Madison. Now, James Madison almost was not able to go to a bowl game at all. If I understand correctly, the only reason they got to go was because South Carolina lost to Clemson and James Madison was next in line. So had the Gamecocks beat Clemson, James Madison would not be in a bowl game. And Air Force actually had a really good season. And I know James Madison's excited about finally being an FBS team, finally getting to play in bowl games. That should be a good game. And then coming up on December the 27th, we have the Mayonnaise Bowl. North Carolina taking on West Virginia. West Virginia doesn't have a great offense. It's decent. But since they're playing North Carolina, it should look really good in that game. I'm hoping this year the winning coach doesn't get mayonnaise poured on him. Something about that just makes my skin crawl. Then coming up the following day on December the 28th, we have the Alamo Bowl. Two highly ranked teams, Oklahoma versus Arizona. And if memory serves, Oklahoma is number 12 and Arizona's number 14. So that should be a really good game. Then we have the Gator Bowl the next day, Friday, December the 29th, Clemson versus Kentucky. Now, on the 29th, that Friday, there are 5 or 6 bowl games altogether, and the first one, I believe, is the Gator Bowl with Clemson taking on Kentucky. The reason why I say I believe is because I don't have the bowl lineup in front of me, but it seems to me, if I recall, that in years past there are a couple of days where the first bowl game starts at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, but I don't think it's on the 29th. I think Clemson and Kentucky play at noon, and that is the first bowl game that day. And that game is intriguing because, well, it's the only team in football that matters, Clemson. Also on the 29th, we have the Liberty Bowl, Memphis versus Iowa State. And if you follow the channel and did all throughout college football season, you know by now that Memphis does not play defense. So all their games were really, really competitive and really, really entertaining because Memphis does not play defense, but they can score. But Iowa State has no offense. But against Memphis, they should be able to move the ball. Then coming up 3 weeks from tomorrow, the final Saturday of the year, December 30th, we have the Peach Bowl, Penn State versus Ole Miss. And just like the Alamo Bowl between Oklahoma and Arizona, the Peach Bowl features 2 highly ranked teams. I think Penn State's number 10 and Ole Miss is number 11, I believe. So we're talking about 2 borderline top 10 teams, and it's going to be the really, really, really good defense of Penn State facing that rushing attack that Lane Kiffin has at Ole Miss. Also on the 30th, Florida State versus Georgia. And I'm intrigued with this game because you can't be Florida State and spend the better part of a week whining and complaining about getting left out of the playoff and then play Georgia and go out there and lose by 30. Because if you can't beat Georgia, you wouldn't beat any of the other 4 teams that are in the playoffs. So if you're Florida State, this game is very, very critical, very, very crucial. And you better win this game because if you don't, your argument for being in the playoffs is gone. I'm also intrigued by it because there are rumors that Florida State is going to back out of this game and boycott it. Now, hopefully, if they do, they won't do what they did when they backed out on Clemson 3 years ago when they waited till the Saturday morning of the game. If Florida State's going to boycott this game and back out of it, they need to do it ahead of time because you're going to have fans coming from all over coming down to watch the game. Don't let them drive down there and spend money on a motel or bus, plane, ever how they get there, and then wake up the day of the game and say, oh, you know what? We ain't going to play. Because if I was a fan and they done that to me, I would be ticked. And the last bowl game that I wrote down is the Fiesta Bowl on January the 1st. Two really, really, really good offenses. This should be a really, really, really good game. Oregon versus Liberty. Now, I have a feeling that if you like to see points scored and like to see no defense played, you need to watch the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day between Oregon and Liberty. Any thoughts on any of these bowl games? Please feel free to let me know. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I ran out of toilet paper, so I have begun using old newspapers. The times are rough. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.